Good morning, guys. Welcome to episode 8, season 4 of the Duck Chronicles. And the ducks are just doing great. Today they are 21 days old. And as you can see, they continue to grow at a rapid rate. Now I think the difference between them at, say, 7 and 14 days is not as dramatic, or is the difference between 14 and 21 is not as dramatic as the difference between 7 and 14. But they're continuing to put some size on, aren't you guys? And what I thought would be fun today is that we could have a little breakfast together. So I went over to one of my aquatic systems, and this is a plant called water lettuce that I put in all of my aquatic systems, at least all the ones that I can put it in. And it grows so fast, I have to take about that much out of a tank on a daily basis this time of year when things are really reproducing rapidly. The good news is it makes great compost. It also makes good duck food. They like it. But they don't like it anywhere near as much as they like what they're about to get. Hey ducks, this is salvinia. And it's kind of like a larger version of duckweed. It actually looks a lot like duckweed if you put duckweed under a magnifying glass and made it look a little bigger. And this is something. Hey guys, look. Duck, duck, duck. Duck, duck, duck. They absolutely go mental for this. Come on, little guy, get in. Get in. You're gonna miss out. Come on. Get in. There you go. So that won't last long. This is another plant that grows really fast. They say duckweed can double its size every 24 hours under ideal conditions. I've never got it to do that. I've got it to do it about once every 48. This stuff here will double its volume about once every 5 to 6 days this time of year. They've had a lot this weekend, so they probably won't get any for a few more days, but I wanted you guys to see them pigging out on it. This is one of those things, like if I wanted to be in a different line of work, the amount of that stuff I just gave them, aquarium enthusiasts and whatnot buy that stuff all the time online, probably about $8 to $12 that could have been sold for. But you know, that's one of those things, like, yeah, it's worth that kind of money if you run a business on it or what have you, and there's a lot of opportunity out there to run little businesses like that, but we can all only do so many things. And if you don't treat it like a business, all you're doing is growing weeds. In this instance, what we're doing is we're using that aquatic plant to act as a filter system, because that's what these two plants do in my systems. They help keep that water, that crystal clear that I've shown you guys before, and we get a byproduct, and that byproduct is food for our ducks. And when these guys are running around, you know, I'll be handing it out to them, you know, on a daily basis through the summers when we're in a really high season of production. We're actually kind of ebbing down right now on the production of these plants. The water temperature has dropped a good 5 to 8 degrees over the last 3 weeks. It's still fairly warm. It doesn't threaten the plants at all, but they just don't reproduce at quite that high rate of speed. In midsummer, that stuff it really does need to be thinned out a little bit every day. So all summer long they'll have that. We also have been giving them some of the water spinach, the Thai water spinach, and they really like that. That's what those stems are out there in the distance right there are. I gave them a big bundle of that yesterday. So I try to vary their diet when it comes to all these little treats, I guess, and adjuncts. Not really try to give them the same thing every day. That way, if there is anything during their developmental period that maybe is too high, a specific nutrient or lack of nutrient or what have you, it's spread out. And so I wanted to also talk to you guys a little bit today about some future plans. These guys are going to go over behind the pool in the old duck enclosure at night once they're big enough to be out every night. I do have electric fencing up there. I may actually train them, since there's only 10, to use the outbuilding as their overnight house through the winter, because that will make them absolutely 100% protected from predators. But if I get that fence going again, they're in pretty good shape. I do have some other fence work I have to do over there before they go over there. It's a very large area. I'm trying to focus, you know, homestead ducks. You don't need an area that big for your overnight area for, you know, 6, 12 ducks, which is kind of what we have. I would say that you want to have at least, I would say, 4 square feet per duck. So 40 square feet of area for your holding area. And that is just to be held overnight. You really want to train your birds to go to a place like that, because they will lay eggs anywhere and everywhere. They're not like chickens. They're not going to pick a place and always lay their eggs there. If you don't put them away at night, you're going to have to do an Easter egg hunt every day, and a lot of your eggs are going to get wasted. So that's one of the main reasons. The other reasons is it allows you to check your birds out. It allows you to get a head count. It allows you to make sure that none of them are sick or have any kind of infirmity. And it just allows you to kind of create an organizational structure around what you're doing. It does not have to be complicated. They don't really need, unless you're really far north, they don't even need an indoors. You can give them a little lean-to type structure, and you could build your enclosure with hog panels. You know, you could take 2 or 4 16-foot hog panels and wire them together and create a Yankee gate for it, and that would be a sufficient holding area. They can't fly worth a doggone, so they're not going to get out of it even if, you know, it's only about that high. In fact, if I didn't have an area for them, that's what I would set up for them. I'd build them a little 3-sided structure facing south so the sun wakes them up in the morning, and that would be all they would get, and that would be all they would need. I would probably, what I would do to save on construction, I would pick some part of my fence and then just attach 2, and so I would only need 3 panels. I'd probably cut one with an angle grinder to create a gate, pop a couple T-posts in, and I mean, that's one of the things I like about them. They don't really need a coop. Again, unless you're really far north, and exactly where that cutoff is, I don't know, because I don't live where the air hurts my face more than a couple days out of the year. I can tell you that I've had days down here in the teens, and I've had my ducks out sitting in the shade when they could be sitting in the sun when the temperature's in the teens. What they really need is a way to get out of the wind when the wind is intense, and babies, of course, need shelter because they're not prepared to deal without it yet. So anyway, there you go. I was also asked about the chicken tractor here. Duck tractor, turkey tractor, quail tractor. It's tractored a lot of things. Now, there are plans for it. Guys, sometimes people make things harder than they have to be. This is a box. That's not even pressure treated lumber. I'm amazed that after 5 years it hasn't rotted apart, but I guess it's because it doesn't really touch the ground much. That is stud lumber. That is the cheap 7-foot 6-inch whitewood stud lumber that you get at Home Depot for like a couple bucks a stick. So it's 7.5 foot long, and then these were just ripped or actually cut in half to make a box. All I did was build a box, and I covered it with you know, hardware cloth. This stuff right here. That's all it is. And this top actually used to be the bottom. I ran a run of quail in it, and I wanted to try tractoring quail. We were doing some experiments with that, and that top was on the bottom so that when I moved it, the birds moved with it, because unlike chickens and ducks, quail are going to get crushed easily. You have to be careful when you're moving a tractor that you don't crush anybody. If you put something they like in the direction that they're going, they tend to go that way. And if you just kind of move slow, you can kind of push them along. The wheels are just cheap, you know, tractor wheels or whatever you call them, like lawnmower wheels or wheels for like a barbecue grill or something like that. They're a couple bucks a piece, and that's just a bolt. I drilled a hole through, put a bolt and put a nut on both sides of it, a lock nut, an acorn style nut, so that there's space for that wheel to roll. And it doesn't roll real easy. It barely touches the ground. You can see how they are there. I didn't try to make it perfect because I don't want to lift the thing up. All I wanted to do is just take a little bit of weight off it for when I'm dragging it. Honestly, I can drag this thing without the wheels. I put the wheels on it for my wife. And again, this is about 7.6 by 4 feet. And I've had, you know, 24 ducks in it, and it's been fine. I've had, you know, 50 ducks in it, but by the time they were this big, I started going a different way. I also mentioned hog panels. So they make hog panels that are 8 foot instead of 16, or you can cut your 16s in half. You can get some, if you go to the duckchronicles.com, you can see all the ways I've done this over the years. You can get some hog panels and tie wrap them together with tie wraps that have a release on them, and basically make an 8-foot square with no top, and that's fine as long as you don't have someone's going to get in there and get at them. When they're, you know, I'm not too worried about them now. When they first came out, they were pretty little. I was worried about the cats because they're so little. The cats are more likely to see them as prey. Now the cats are sleeping on top of the thing and, you know, kind of bonding with them, honestly. But yeah, if you don't have anything to worry about anything getting in at them, then they're not going to get 4 foot up in the air with no feathers and no wings. They're not going to do it once they do feather out. Again, they can't fly worth a doggone. But as you can see, breakfast is over. There's a little bit in there. If you guys work for it, you can get it, but pretty much they've wiped it out. One more thing before we go today. You can barely see it now because it's all mucked up already, but there's a rock there and there's a rock there, and that's just to help them get out. I don't want anybody stuck in here long duration without, you know, catching it that they're stuck in there. Again, I know ducks and water seem like they go hand in hand, but they can be too wet for too long, and it's not good even at this age. But I would say 3 weeks, we've kind of hit Mack truck stage with them. I mean, something bad has to go wrong to lose any of them at this point. It would probably be some kind of an illness that comes out of left field, or it would be, you know, a predator or something. By the time they're 3 weeks of age, they're just tough little birds. You can feel when you pick them up now the difference, the way the muscle structure is and how toughened up they are already. And they are hunters, man. That guy there, he just got himself a grasshopper. That grasshopper's been terrified since I moved this tractor this morning, and I've seen him moving around, and I've been wondering when somebody's going to find him, and I guess that just happened. So that's another reason to be an ant, not a grasshopper in the world of ducks, I guess. You saw him there. He had a little bit of food on his face, and that's why they mess that water up so quickly. It's not just defecating in it. And that's exactly what they do, is they get that food and they put it in there. They like it better that way. It helps clean their beaks out, etc. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed episode 8. Remember, if you have questions and things that you'd like to see and like to know, put them down there in the comments, and I'll try to get answers to you. And if you like this sort of thing, you'll probably like the other stuff that I do. You can find all my stuff, including my daily podcast, at tspc.co. That's tspc.co. No M in there, tspc.co. If you don't believe it works, stick it in your URL in your browser and see if it does. All the cool kids are putting it in theirs. You should put it in yours too.